What's up? Welcome into Christmas Eve, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm a dork at this time of the year. This is my favorite time of the year. If you're on our newsletter, congrats. If you're not on our newsletter, mikearanashow.com/links at the bottom. Sign up for the newsletter. This is Christmas Eve of Christmas Eve to Christmas Day for me. March, T, we've talked about this. Mac will be with us in a little bit, but I think this is a perfect me and you conversation for our many drives to the Sahara Desert's golden place. All gold buildings that dumbasses like me and you help build. But anyways, this is one of those things. Like, this is the time. I love the sports month of March. And I know you love the sports month of October, and a lot of people do. Part of it is because you're going to go low-hanging fruit. It's your birthday month, but we get World Series. We're in the middle of the NFL. We're almost to college basketball starting, almost to the NBA. So I'm at the, hey, we're almost to baseball starting. We're almost to the Masters. We're into March Madness. Almost, it's the March-October argument, and I've been having it all day with people, and I'm froggy tonight. This is going to be one of the better ones. So if you're watching along, we appreciate you. Feel free to comment along. Follow us on all of our social channels, at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat. T, why are we not on Snapchat before I let you make your case on March or October?
For all the people in the back, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. That's why we're not on it.
That's exactly it. Are you a March sports fan is your high? Are you an October sports fan is your high? Or could you be a Vegas Mac who will be with us shortly and sit in the middle like Switzerland?
No, I'm going to go October on this, but March it's like 1 and 1A, right? Because we've got 6 months of baseball on tap, which in some seasons is very exciting. In other seasons, like for the last 15, for me, it has been, another day, but it is what it is. But I mean, like, you just laid it out there. Like, how could you argue with March not being epic? I mean, here we are at March 17th. We're about to go into peak unproductivity mode at work for the next at least 2 weeks. We're about to see, and look, you can say, I'm sure we'll talk about this later. You can talk about how the Cinderellas are going away and how last year it was mostly chalk. But dude, these games that we're about to see, for the most part, are probably going to be pretty freaking good. So
I think they're going to be very good, actually. T, and Cinderella might have not showed up to the party. Welcome to the party, pal, if you will. If you know there. I think this year's going to be a little bit different. And yeah, we are going to get into that in depth. I do want to talk a little shit. I wish Mac was here already so he could hear this. By the way, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. If you're trying to pinch anybody not wearing green, come at me, bro. I will punch you right in the freaking chops right now. And I'm safe, other than my wife and the 2 dogs, but I'm safe. I have not had any green beer today. Maybe that's why I'm squirrely. I'm froggy.
That's the reason.
Maybe it's because I thought tonight's game was going to be under, and it's definitely not under. UMBC making a run at it late in our first 4 games. NIT games are going on over. TJ and I's favorite bet in the world. If you want to make some money before the tournament starts, dude, the NIT is over freaking central for you. The World Baseball Classic Championship also going on right now. And I'm just going to throw this out here. Mac, because he hung out with half of probably the decision makers for the DR when he was on his cruise, thought the DR was going to win it. They ended up getting just slowed down, locked down by the Americans. And it's Venezuela and the United States tonight. I'm not going to throw out the score because we've heard from a few of the followers that are kind of watching live. Some of them are actually watching our show and then watching it back. So I'm not going to spoil the score. But I am going to say at the beginning of this, when we all made picks, I said if I was going to watch this thing because it wasn't my jam, I wanted some value, and in Venezuela at plus 850 was my value. You would have thought I learned my lesson, T, on the whole Matthew Stafford MVP thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I didn't bet it, but here we are, Venezuela and the United States. Early in the game. It's a good one so far.
Yeah.
How much more have you watched since we got to bracket play? I know we talked about that last Thursday.
I had the game the other night on Sunday on more as a little bit of background noise while I was working, but I mean, that was one of the most entertaining 2-1 games I've ever watched. I mean, it was like, what I liked about it is you were always like, let's just say I didn't get a whole hell of a lot of work done because you were just sitting right waiting for something to happen, and a 2-1 lead against a lineup that starts and ends with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not safe at all. And the Americans just mowed through that lineup in the last 5-6 innings. Just Mason Miller was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. So, this I'm hoping that this game lives up to that billing. I don't know if you saw it, but the Team USA walked into the building today in game-worn Team USA hockey jerseys, which you got to love that. So let's see what happens, man. I hope the Americans pull it off. I want Venezuela to win for your bet, but because I live where I live, go USA.
I'm not going to be upset if the U.S. wins without a shadow of a doubt. And for my bet, again, I didn't make the damn thing because I got sidetracked that night when we made our picks, and I didn't make the damn thing. So far, so good early. And I did see that they walked in the USA hockey game worn jerseys today, thanks to you, because you sent it to me. Speaking of people that send things to people, look who I found.
Whoa, look what the cat dragged in. What is that? Is that your Dominique Wilkins jersey?
Well, he doesn't want to get virtually pinched this year, so he's wearing green tonight.
That's right. Happy St. Patrick's Day, gentlemen. How are you?
We're good.
Good.
We're talking about baseball.
Oh.
I know that gives you a little bit of corked bat, if you will, there.
Well, listen, I'm all in. Listen, I know you guys have kind of poo-pooed this whole WBC, but I'll tell you, I've watched a lot of it, and it has been a lot of fun. I mean, the passion that we're seeing with these guys, I mean, yeah, I get it. We'll never see it over 162 games. We know that. But for this small amount of time, this has been so much fun. I mean, the energy that you see, the bat flips, they've been some of the best bat flips I've seen ever in this. I mean, you've got to really enjoy what's been going on the field. And it's been pretty good baseball, too, for the most part. It really has, especially now that we've gotten into these, the better teams.
Are you in a subway tunnel? Because the echo is...
Well,
no. Some NBA teams would be jealous of you right now.
No, I think I think my children may have had some fun with my toys here. So hopefully we got it settled.
All right.
It sounds like you were in the metro headed to the Big O in Montreal.
Ooh.
And it's so hot here, it actually kind of smells like that too. So
I was going to ask you that because I know what the temperature is up in Mac's neck of the woods. How is it out in the SoCal region for you, where you're still deciding whether you're going to wear your NHL Shield jersey or your Utah Mammoth shirt? When you and see, don't bullshit us. You're going to end up at one of those Ducks playoff games. We know you're going to. So have you made a decision, and how is the weather out there?
I have not made a decision, and as of this minute, it is 93 cool degrees.
Ooh.
So But
He says, ooh, the difference between him 3 hours away from me and here is a stark difference. We're looking at 4 straight days here on St. Patrick. We're mid-March. We're looking at 4 straight days over 97.
yeah,
Mm.
winter's over. No more hoodie season. It's over.
Yeah,
It's
F
over.
you. You guys know the whole like back and forth with us, with me, with the above ground pool thing. Well, I decided to install a pool skimmer today on the above ground pool. And the skimmer's installed, but the pool is still not ready for Mama to swim in. Happy wipe, happy life thing.
Yes.
We're getting there. So if I look a little burnt, pink, white, Irish, everything else, that's what we're dealing with. Guys, we're gonna get right into the hot and heavy tonight. NHL. It's Tuesday, but we're gonna puck around and find out. T won't be with us tomorrow. He'll be en route somewhere else. So only a couple of headlines I wanted to pass across, and honestly, the biggest headline of the day was the Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, with new quarterback Malik Willis and new head coach Jeff Hafley, they decided a smart move would be to trade their only wide receiver left to the Denver freaking Broncos as they send Jalen Waddle to Denver for a couple of picks here. I know this one caught me off guard, just natural reaction stuff, T to the middle. And then, Mac, what did you think when you saw this come across your phone? Because I kind of, I kind of went, eh. And then when I saw, like, the details of it, and it's nothing groundbreaking, but, like, Miami is full into, hey, we got to rebuild the whole hell out of this thing.
Well, I think what you see is a reaction to the moves that Kansas City has made recently, and so Denver is like, well, if we can't beat them, we're going to join them, and they're just trying to get as many receivers as they can to spread the field as much as they can to allow Bo Nix to be successful. I thought it was a great move. I've had the same reaction as you, though. I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay. Is Cortland Sutton's probably still the number one, so maybe Waddle's going to be a 2. But I thought about your boy Humphrey, and I don't know if this means Marvin Mims is on the way out, but I got a boatload of fantasy points in him on return yards. For Miami, yeah, this thing just blow it up, start over. It's obviously they don't want anything that what's his nuts touch to be there anymore. So. See you later.
What's his nuts touched? Hey, Mac. All right, here's the details of the haul according to Adam Schefter here, and I wanted to get your take on this because I know Mac of all. For those of you joining us for the first time tonight, welcome. We appreciate you. Sign up for our newsletter. Sign up for our Pick'em contest, which is in our newsletter, or just go on ESPN's Tournament Challenge and search the Mike Arana Show. But Mac is the guy that assesses uniforms better than anybody on this show and assesses value for value anywhere on the show. So here's the thing, Mac. Waddle, as well as the Dolphins' 4th-round pick, which is 111 overall. The Broncos will send their 1st-round pick, number 30 overall, as well as 3rd and 4th-round picks, 94 and 130, to Miami. How do you assess this from your side of how we look at things on this very program?
I don't really think I don't think Miami really, got very much for what is, considered a pretty quality receiver. I mean, they got a 1st-round pick, which it's, football is so weird with the picks and everything. It's, 1st-round picks are nice, but I think it's just the accumulation of what you get in those other rounds. I think that the later rounds, the middle rounds is where football teams are really made. So if you look at it from that perspective, I think Miami did a good job. I mean, listen, Miami is not going to compete this year. That's not what they're about. They're about the rebuild. And if you're going to rebuild, that's how you rebuild it. You rebuild it with those middle picks. So it doesn't really sound sexy. Like you really didn't get a whole lot, but you really did get a whole lot because those picks in the middle are the ones that really matter.
Mm-hmm. Mac, well, not Mac. I singled you out. Maybe it's
All-
because
It's okay. You're good.
All of us.
Sorry, I mean you're wearing
It's
a
okay.
Kevin Garnett. Hey, anything is possible here tonight.
That's right.
That's the theme of the night. You know, I think it's a good move on both sides. You know, Jalen Waddle wasn't going to do anything for a down Ravens team. I would have liked to have seen Malik Willis have a number one like a Jalen Waddle because Malik Willis was the quarterback on the market. We talked about him maybe coming to Arizona and what that would do for the Cardinals. We know it's Gardner Minshew fighting with Jacoby Brissett, which the jokes will write themselves there. But at this point, we know Miami's in the rebuild. When you look at the Broncos wide receiver room, and T, you brought this up, like we're talking about Troy Franklin and Courtland Sutton, and now Jalen Waddle, and you mentioned my boy Little Jordan Humphrey, and we can Denver's wide receiver room. You know, plenty of options for Bo Nix, and we get it. That's what they were trying to do. For Miami, I mean, if you're Jawan Jennings, you love this trade because Miami might overpay for you now because they don't have a number one. And to be honest with you, Miami might not have a number two. So Jawan Jennings coming in to Miami. And Jennings is a guy both of you guys asked me about, and that's why I'm bringing him up here. We're still sitting here, and Jennings has no fit, at least so far. Jennings, if you will, played the FAFO game. And now we're seeing what's left there. We've seen the 49ers bring in Mike Evans. Whether you want to make good or bad of that deal, that's fine. They bring in Christian Kirk on a one-year deal. So now the Niners are at Evans, Kirk, Pearsall, Cowing, Demarcus Robinson. The Niners wide receiver room, if they're all healthy, looks a million miles. What do you do if you're Miami here? Do you overpay for Jawan Jennings? And I'm going to go T the Mac here. Do you overpay for Jawan Jennings, or do you legit just, hey, Arch Manning's going to be a Dolphin next year because that looks like what we're going to do.
And I feel for Malik Tom Willis because it's like he's got his bag, right, and now he's going to go into this crap show. This team is going to be lucky to win 2 games next year. I think you pass on Jennings. I think you let this thing just bottom out and you acquire as many assets as you can.
If you look at a lot of the mock drafts, the Dolphins are looking like with their first pick at number 11 to take a wide receiver, somebody like a Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. I think that's where they're going to get their number one receiver. I think they're going to get it. This draft is loaded with really good receivers. I think Miami's going to go and they're going to get one of those big time wide receivers with that number 11 pick, and that's going to be the start of the rebuild for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think so, but you know,
I mean,
it like, definitely is one of those things. Go ahead, T.
No, I mean, you just gave up a guy going into his age 28 year for a 6th round draft pick, though. Like
yeah, but
you're obviously not going to get better.
No, but I don't think it's the getting better. I think it's cleaning the house. T. I think it's cleaning the house.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. I think you want to get rid of the guys that were there. It's kind of like, you don't want to have anything. I mean, you're starting with a fresh sheet of paper, and we're going to go, okay, here we go. This is what we're going to go with. And you bring in, I'll just use Jordan Tyson. You bring in a Jordan Tyson. He doesn't have the history with the Dolphins. You just kind of start over, and that's where you go. I think that's more of it. It's not so much well, what was it? The sheet of paper that got you thrown off? I mean,
no. Like, no, it's not. You said it, and like, it's a sheet of paper. And just remembering how the Dolphins have run things for the past couple of years, I'm thinking about what color crayons go on the sheet of paper. That was what made me laugh. So, all right,
I think that's what it. I think it's just the clearing the house, getting everybody out, and just we're rebuilding the house. We're breaking it down. We're going to rebuild it with new material.
Yeah, and there's Billy V checking in, and that's why I brought up Jawan Jennings, because like at this point with what's left on the market, and like, You signed Malik Willis, and maybe that was Jeff Halfley going, I believe in this guy. And yeah, I'm never going to be welcome to Wisconsin, so I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. I'm pretty sure the Packers just let their best quarterback walk out the freaking door to Miami to follow Jeff Halfley here. So if I'm Miami, and I know we're trying to rebuild stuff, but if I'm Miami, maybe I overpay a little bit for Jawan Jennings. And I'm going to tell you this, guys, from a guy who's watched Jawan Jennings, third and Jawan, like the whole nine. I think he has number one wide receiver potential. And if you just spent that money on a 3-year deal for Malik Willis, you need to give him a go-to target. And that's the thing I think that threw me off today with this deal was like, and you can say what you want about Jalen Waddle and what he's done, but like now there's a quarterback there that seemingly is different than Tua. And until we start playing regular NFL games, we're not going to know the answer to that. But if I'm Miami and I spent this kind of money on a quarterback, I need to give him somebody. And Mac, I'll start with you here, and then I'll go to T and we'll finish this because then we're going to talk about Max Crosby for a quick second. But I get where you're coming from, Mac. Like, go get yourself a Tyson in the draft. But I think if you committed 3 years, and I don't remember the exact numbers in front of me right now, 45, I think it was, to Malik Willis.
67.
60?
67.
A lot of money. Give him, I see what you did there. Give him somebody to go to from the start. And that was the thing that when I saw this move today, Mac, that I was like, you just took the one thing he had away from him. They have nothing wide receiver wise in Miami. And I know it's a rebuild, but that's where I think Jawan Jennings wants number one money, and Miami should give him number one money because they gave the best quarterback on the market good money. You got to give him somebody to throw it to.
Okay, I'm going to go 2 points here. Number one, I don't know why he'd want to go there. If he thinks he's a number one receiver, why would you want to go there? Because
what are his options, Mac?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, why would you want to go there? My second point is, I'm not sold on Willis as a quarterback, as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think, you know, that's kind of when he signed, I was like, ugh, like really, like you're going to throw that much money at a guy who is the P word, potential, right? But I mean, he hasn't done it yet. I mean, everybody was all excited about the 1 quarter he played in Green Bay this past year. You know, I'm not sold on him as my starting quarterback, and so maybe I'm not saying Miami. I mean, you're going to put that much money into a guy, you have to be sold on him. But maybe it's a different way they're going to go at it. I don't know. You're right. It's interesting that you're going to throw that much money at a quarterback. Maybe they're going to do this the right way. Maybe they're going to start this. They're going to say, listen, we got our quarterback. We're going to build our offensive line. We're going to build our defensive line. And then we'll kind of go, maybe they'll do it the right way. I don't know that they have the patience to do that, but that would make sense. If they're going to do it, that would be the way to do it.
He finishes up on the Dolphins because why the hell we're talking about the Dolphins this long? I have no idea, but it's been an entertaining conversation.
You know, Darius Rucker's in for a long season since the Dolphins make him cry all the time. And would you, Mac, what I'm hearing from you is that you've got Matt Flynn over Malik Tom Willis because Matt Flynn had a really good game in the season and Malik Tom Willis had a really good quarter. So yeah, you know, I see how those Packer quarterback hierarchy goes now.
Yeah, you know, those preseason games for Miami are going to be really meaningful, I think.
They very well could be. All right, let's talk about a team that I think could actually make some headway and some noise before we get into hockey. And obviously the elephant in the room, the NCAA tournament that is less than 48 hours away from starting. Max Crosby was traded, and then he wasn't, and now we're hearing some of the latter details of what happened here as Max Crosby talked for the first time. He was, quote, livid and confused by the Ravens' decision to back out of a trade that would have sent him to Baltimore for the 2 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Crosby comes out and says, no one will ever admit what the real truth is. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. I am where I'm supposed to be. That's what Crosby said today on the latest episode of his podcast, The Rush. I thought I was going to see DaCosta, speaking of the Ravens general manager, Eric DaCosta, when I first got there. I don't know why. I'm not going to speculate. He just made the trade, and I didn't see him for 5 hours. This whole thing has got a lot of what the actual hell happened. Now he's back in Vegas, and there's an injury cloud over his head. I'm going to obviously start in the middle with UT. The Raiders went out and spent a lot of money, a lot of good money, I think, on 3-year deals for a lot of quality players. Now Max is back home with the Raiders, and you've said this. You more than anybody I know. Max wants to be a part of the solution and not be a part of the problem anymore. And what do you make as a Raider fan, and what do you make out of everything we've seen out of this?
Well, I want to make sure that we cool the jets here on all the talk that everybody just automatically went to, oh, it's the Raiders. This is all screwed up. And, there's probably some sort of silver and black stench to it. Look, all the reports are indicating that Baltimore backed out of this deal. It was nothing that the Raiders did. So, look, it can go one of two ways here, in my opinion. They can either try and trade him again, but now his value is diminished because of the potential injury problem, or he goes out this season, gets 10 sacks in the first 4 games, and they deal him at the deadline. I mean, those are pretty much the 2 ways that this can go. Or I guess there's a third way that he could just suck and sulk, but I don't think he's going to be like that. His part of the solution in this case was helping the Raiders acquire assets. It didn't work out. So now his part of the solution is to either play inspired so the Raiders want to keep him, or play inspired so they want to deal him again.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing from all accounts. And that's why I wanted to go to you first on this one. Everybody wants us to go, oh, this is the Raiders doing Raider stuff. Like, this had nothing to do with the Raiders. And, it sounded good on the first couple of days when they were like, the plan for the Ravens was Hendrickson and Crosby. That's what we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I almost think, and I almost feel here, like Eric DaCosta is doing a hell of a lot of backtracking, like a great defensive back here, because the egg's on his face, because it sounds like this was, and I don't have anything that tells me for sure. I haven't talked to anybody that will confirm this, but it sounds like a lot of just horrible, shitty business on the Ravens' part here, and mainly Eric DaCosta's part here, for how this whole thing was handled here. And, Crosby went on to say, he goes, that's a lot on your mental. At that moment, I was scared. He didn't see Eric DaCosta from when he landed in Baltimore to when and him and his wife were out there, and it was supposed to be a sign and a dinner and everything else. And I'll go back to you, and then I'll let Mac follow here. But, this is one of those times, it's not on the Raiders. It's full on the Ravens, and I don't think enough people are pointing that finger at Eric DaCosta that they should be for, let's call it what it is, shitty big business practices.
Well, that's because it's too convenient to blame the Raiders. It's very convenient, and in a season that absolutely went completely sideways from week 2 forward, it's just, let's just blame them. Look, as a Raider fan, I'm glad that we might see Crosby again this season. I've always thought that he has the mentality to be a Raider for life. He is one of those guys who just has the chip on his shoulder all the time. And as I've said, he wants to be part of the solution. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I think you can probably try to move him at the draft, maybe if there's still potential suitors. But what's it going to cost you now? You're not getting 2 firsts for him. That's the thing. You might get a first and a player, but that player is not going to be anybody who's going to maybe take the field. It's just it's a tough call, but I have a feeling that the Raiders are going to pull through this fine.
Yeah, Mac, what do you think?
I think what he's saying is that
I think
Crosby.
Yeah, I think for me it's one of two things. I wonder if it's a scheme thing. I wonder if they kind of looked at him and said, Hendrickson is a better fit to their scheme than Crosby. I mean, I'm just kind of throwing some stuff out there. I wonder if that's when they really looked at it, they said it's a scheme thing. I mean, from a salary standpoint, there isn't much different. I mean, it's a little bit maybe easier to manage the money, but I wonder if for some reason it became a scheme thing and they said that this is not going to probably work best for us, and we found a way to kind of get out of it. That's the only thing that I can think of, because I mean most of the other reasons just don't make sense. I mean, age, I mean it doesn't make sense. Money doesn't make sense. So I'm just wondering. That's the one thing. I wonder if it was about scheme.
And it could be. I mean, let's flip this back just to finish here before we get into hockey. On the Raiders side of things, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean. We could go down the list of all the guys the Raiders have brought in, and everybody's like, well, what do the Raiders do now? Because they offered all these deals. That was the funniest argument I heard, because it was like, oh, what do the Raiders do? Oh, yeah, because the Raiders are cash-strapped right now? Like, get out of here with that nonsense. Like, if I'm adding Max Crosby to a defense now that has Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker and Taron Johnson, who they grabbed from the Bills, like, now I'm going, we're finally giving Max Crosby some dogs on that side of the ball that he hasn't had. We know what they're going to do offensively. They're going to sign Fernando Mendoza, or draft Fernando Mendoza. Obviously sign him, because that's usually how it works with the number 1 overall pick.
I mean,
the talent that they have on offense and everything else. And it's like, I am super bullish on this Raiders team. Like, how do you feel now knowing what the Raiders have done? Teeth and Mac, and then we're on hockey. How do you feel about what the Raiders have done? Now that Max Crosby, as far as we know, is going to be a Raider.
Well, I mean, it's super exciting, right? I mean, that's how we want it to be. Tyree Wilson had kind of a pseudo breakout year last year, so that was good. They brought Kuntz back, so I mean, like this, they have guys, right? They have guys. The biggest thing that I talked about going into 2025 was how the Raiders tried to go cheap at key positions, and it ultimately just blew up in their face. Now they have an opportunity to fix that. And I think they're doing I thought the signing of the center from Baltimore, I thought that was a great signing. You're giving Ashton Genty a guy that they can run behind. It's a fantastic move, because Genty's a good running back. His numbers may not have shown up, but there were glimpses of him last year that he's going to be pretty special. So I like the fact that they spent some money. Let's get to May, though. Let's get to May.
Mac, finish us up on the Raiders, and let's go Puck.
All right, I got 2 words for you: Denver, Kansas City. Those are the 2 words I have for Raiders fans, because both those teams have gotten a whole lot better as well. It's going to be a tough road. I mean, it's got to be a wild card. I don't think it's a division. It's got to be a wild card for the Raiders.
He didn't say San Diego.
Who?
Oh, who? Oh,
crap. My bad.
Diego Supercharged. Anybody who wants to comment along, feel free to comment along. It is Tuesday.
Yes.
Normally Wednesday is the time to puck around and find out, but T's going to be on trains, planes, and automobiles thing tomorrow, so we're going to puck around and find out tonight. Obviously, the talk of the NHL week, if you will, is Austin Matthews is out for the rest of the year for a Toronto team that wasn't going anywhere anyways, but if you saw the hit from Radko Gudas, 5 games. I felt like it was 5 weeks. You guys are the puck guys on this show. T the Mac. 5 games? Definitely not enough. Am I wrong?
I feel like we've talked about it for 5 weeks already. So the first thing that I did was circle March 30th on my calendar because that's when the Leafs come back here. I found it very interesting that although the Leafs won that game, nobody really came to Matthews' defense right away. It took a while before that game started getting a little more chippy. But I mean, is the system broken? I don't know. This is all collectively bargained. He got a 5-game suspension because that's the max that you can get without a phone hearing. And if it goes over, without an in-person hearing, if you get an in-person hearing and you get suspended for 6 games or more, it's an automatic appeal that goes to an independent arbitrator who could rule even less than 6 games. So, it's one of those cases where you feel for the Leafs in as far as the Matthews injury goes, but I mean, it is what it is. I think only 1 or 2 suspensions in the last 9 to 10 years for kneeing have been over 5 games, and those were 7. So I'm not really sure what DPS was supposed to do here, other than give him the max for a phone hearing.
One thing about hockey, we know they police themselves, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, do I think the penalty? Do I think it fits? Yeah, it fits right in line, like T said, what the suspension should be. You know, you hear this all the times in other sports. You know, somebody gets hurt because of somebody does something, they should be out of. That's just silly. They gave him the suspension that was within, like you said, what was negotiated. But unlike any other sport, hockey will take care of it. His or not, like you said, nobody came to his. Maybe nobody will come to his defense, and maybe that says a lot about the Toronto Maple Leafs and that hockey team. But I think the next time they meet, whether it was going to be this year, whether it's in the playoffs, whether it's next year, he's a marked man. I mean, let's just be honest. Hockey takes care of themselves.
But
Yeah. Go ahead, T.
Sorry, Mike. One of the things that I heard Ray Ferraro say, I hear him say this a lot when it comes to suspensions and fines and things, is suspensions and fines need to be something so the action does not happen again, right? Like we saw Willie Nylander flip the bird to the camera several weeks ago, and it was a $5,000 fine because that's what the CBA says. You know what? If you want him to stop, and I'm sure you got a nice talking to for it, but you know what? $5,000 to that guy is in his couch. You want to stop that stuff? Make the fine stiffer, make the suspension stiffer. I guarantee you, if Gudas would have got 15 games for this, he would have never done it again.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And T, we need to have a conversation off air to make sure that you're there for that game at the end of this month. We'll get to that when we get to that. Plenty of other stuff to get to hockey-wise. Let's, before we drop a 5-hole and a couple of quick wristers here, there's some games. I don't know why I'm rubbing my hands. Guys, I'm sorry. Like, I'm itchy, I'm scratchy, I'm doing this. Like, it's NCAA tournament time. But there's some big hockey games on the docket for the rest of the week. Let's go around the table here with some games that we're watching for the week. I'm going to start with Mac here, then we'll go T, then me. How do we look at it? Mac, what are you watching? And there's a lot of things that are requiring eyeballs in sports right now. But on the ice, despite the March Madness tournament and everything that we're about to talk about, what are you watching on the ice? You want to make sure you're watching on the ice.
I've got a couple of them, and the first one is I have circled as Thursday when the Islanders go to Ottawa, and play the Senators. I mean, you have 2 teams that are fighting for one of those spots in the Eastern Conference, and they're both playing really, really good hockey right now. I think that's going to be a really good battle. I mean, that's 2 points that somebody may not get that might be the difference in there. The other game on Saturday that I have is Boston and Detroit, and it's kind of the same way. Both these teams, Detroit kind of a little bit of a fade right now, and the Bruins, they have one of the toughest schedules with the rest of the season. So those two teams, all four of those teams battling for one of those spots in the Eastern Conference. 2 points are so necessary in each of those matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is why I said it. And again, if you want to be a part of our newsletter, we're not smart enough. Let me throw this out here right now. If you want to be a part of our newsletter, we're not smart enough to spam you, and we control our own newsletter. So you're not going to get spammed. Go to MikeArenaShow.com/links, sign up for our newsletter. You'll get a couple betting nuggets and all that fun stuff. But we also kind of lay out what's going on for the week with you. You're going to call me a homer for this one, but if you saw this game last week, you'll understand why I'm here where I'm at. The Sharks were on a tricky road trip, and I'm going to ask both of you guys this question before we transition into college basketball. But where the Sharks sit when they come back home from last Tuesday's battle, if you will. It wasn't a battle. Sharks got their asses kicked, 6-3. But they get home after this long road trip to play a team that I know all three of us are loving life about right now, the Buffalo freaking Sabres. And they get to come home from this road trip I believe this game is on Thursday, because I'm a dipshit and I didn't put it into the notes. Blah, 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 blah. It is Thursday. Sharks and Sabres. We talked about this a lot, and again, I'll have a question for you guys here, but I want to see this game because now the Sharks come home, and if you look at the Sharks schedule down the stretch for what they're doing, and the fact that this team even has a prayer, and they're even worthy of mentioning in a segment like this against a team that's the best story in the NHL, I can't wait to see this Thursday night. It will be on the second screen with a lot of other stuff that's going on. I can't wait to see that one. T, what are the games on your docket before the long-awaited return of Vegas Max 5-hole for this week?
Is this your guy?
I know that guy.
That's the guy you're looking for.
Hard trophy.
Three games in hand on the Mamos, 2 games in hand on the Kings, and they're a point out. They're in a great spot. I love where they're at right now. I've got a couple. If you watched the Dallas-Colorado game several days ago, they are playing again on Wednesday night, this time at Ball Arena in Denver. So that's going to be an absolute bloodbath. Montreal-Detroit on Thursday, 2 teams fighting it out for a wild card spot. And then your Carolina Hurricanes and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins are second in the Metro, only 8 points behind the Canes.
8 points behind Vegas Max Canes. All right, here's what we're going to do. Because I know T's got a couple of quick wristers. We got to talk about a couple of regions. And there's a lot of stuff going on. And we're way behind time. So whatever. It's our show. We can do whatever the hell we want. Mac, you know what I want you to do? Why don't you give me a 5-hole and help me understand the Eastern Conference logjam in this week's edition of Vegas Max 5-hole.
Even though I have some questions about the Montreal defense, especially their slot defense, and I always have questions about their goaltending, I think Montreal is going to get in. Pittsburgh, they're just kind of hanging out. They're waiting for Malkin to come back. They're waiting for Crosby to come back. And I think once those guys come back, they're going to be all right. Plus, they have 25 regulation wins, which is going to help them get into the playoffs. And then 2 of the hottest teams, the Islanders and Ottawa Senators. Ottawa's got a little ways to go, but I think these 2 teams are going to make it. That means we've got spot for one more, and that's the red-hot Columbus Blue Jackets. I think those are going to be the 5 that make the playoffs. I think the Bruins' schedule is just too tough at the end. Here, it's just going to be too much for them. Philadelphia, their power play just sucks. It sucks all year. In Detroit, the Red Wings have just kind of gone into a fade.
What do you think, T? I don't think he's off there.
No,
with that log jam in the East.
I don't think he's wrong either, man. If Ottawa had any sort of league average goaltending, they would be firmly in a spot. I just looked up the stats for save percentage for goaltenders, and I had to go to the second page to get to anybody that had OTT next to their names. You know me. So, yeah, I mean, the East is going to be both wildcard races are going to be fantastic to watch.
I think they're absolutely going to be fantastic to watch, and we didn't get time for this, and we'll give it another week to have time for this. We'll talk about just the West in general and the Pacific in general when all three of us can talk about it next week here. But I think Mac, like, when you look at that logjam, it's incredible, and it's incredible from a viewer standpoint. It's incredible from even the casuals. And I hate using that term, and we've talked about this, guys. Like, there's so many gatekeepers from a fan standpoint in the sport of hockey compared to any other sport, period. We've already heard, we've already gotten the well-worded messages from Mom's basement while the grape soda and the meatloaf's on its way down about how nobody cares about college basketball until the next 4 days, and that's fine. But, like, what's going on in the East right now is incredibly compelling. And what's going on in the West, specifically the Pacific, is also compelling, Mac.
What I enjoy about this right now is when you look at these teams that are competing, we have some different teams that are in there that haven't been in the playoffs in the last couple of years. We haven't seen Buffalo in really forever. The Islanders, Detroit's coming back. Columbus, like I said, these are teams that haven't had either made the playoffs, or if they've made the playoffs, they haven't had real big runs in the playoffs. Some of the big guys, Toronto, Florida, the Rangers, they're not going to be in the playoffs. This is going to be an exciting playoffs because, I just talked about the East, but you can flip it to the West as well. I mean, Utah, Seattle, just to name a few in there, we've got a lot of new blood, and it's going to be interesting to see, the Sabres right now with that new blood, like, how are they going to react to playoff hockey? I mean, I don't remember the last time we saw the Sabres in the playoffs.
It's been 15 years, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe it's 15 years.
No, and it's like, and I said this on one of our social channel videos about a week ago before we get to a couple quick wristers and then college basketball. But I said this, and I'm like, I can't wait to see the Sabres. To me, they're undoubtedly the best story in hockey this year. I can't wait to see them get to the postseason, and I can't wait to see that building in the postseason because it's going to be unhinged. And one of the first comments we got on that video that we posted on our social channels at Mike Arana Show was, there won't be hinges left on the building. And I was like, yes, that's exactly it. And I can't wait to see it. And hockey has continued to build momentum over the last couple of years, and everybody's like, why the hell are you guys talking about hockey on a Tuesday with March Madness coming up? Because that's what we do. And what we do now is we go to a couple of quick wristers. So, T, why don't you lay it on us here for the next couple of days? And what's on your hockey brain, TJ?
Well, I watched the Dallas Stars extend their point streak to 15 games in a row. That was a franchise record. That was Saturday night, courtesy of a Thomas Harley OTGWG. And then the Mammoth roll into Dallas and just curb stomp the Stars 6-3. Jack McBain got the hard parts of the Gordie Howe hat trick. And so what's more impressive, that the Stars were able to put together 15 games with points in a row, or that the Mamos went in there and just stomped them? Is this a preview of what we're going to see in April? I really hope so. The Ducks are still the only team above 500 in the Pacific Division. They are in first place as of now. And so I ask you, do you buy or sell a second round appearance in the playoffs this year for the Anaheim Ducks? And then I'm going to double down on that HMFIC. Do you and Mac buy or sell a second round appearance in this year's playoffs for your Buffalo Sabres?
I'll let Mac take that one first because he's Mr. Actually, I'll take it first. I'm all about this, and here's the thing. Mac talked about this the other day, specifically. Nebraska and them in college basketball, and we talked about how Indiana screwed up the algorithm for everybody in college basketball. And Indiana can win a football national championship. And this sucks as a bettor because I'm like, well, maybe, I don't know where the hell Mac just went. Maybe the Buffalo Sabres could win the Stanley Cup. And we're not there.
No,
Because if I was going to pull that out, I would say, well, yeah, good?
I needed a quick wrister.
Wow, hey. Come on, man. It's a family show. But, like, I would buy a second round appearance from the Buffalo Sabres. Would you buy a second round appearance from the Buffalo Sabres before my final hockey question for both of you guys? And then we got some regions and brackets we got to get into.
I'm going to say yes, I'm buying as well. I think this Buffalo team is for real. I know they don't have the experience, but I think I can kind of see them in a conference final.
It's the young teams that are the best, man. They have no muscle memory. They have short memories. I don't know if you guys watched, I think it was a week and a half ago, 2 Sundays ago, that 8-7 game against Tampa Bay. Holy smokes. Like, that was one of the
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yep.
Jiminy Christmas. And if that's any indication of how the last 3 weeks are going to go in the Atlantic, I'm all in. I'm all in.
All right, guys, I'm going to propose this to you guys, and we'll go Mac, then TJ, and then we got the East region, and we've got the South region in the NCAA tournament to talk about. I've got a theory in my head. Why are you laughing? I haven't even given you a theory. This isn't even on the rundown. This is like a straight out of my head. If the San Jose Sharks, okay, Homer, no, just follow me here. If the San Jose Sharks make the playoffs at plus 320, should Macklin Celebrini win the Hart Trophy? T, then Mac.
I don't know how you can not give him votes. He's 5th in the league in total scoring. He's got 95 points. He's got 35 goals. He'd be taking a team that was left for dead 2 seasons ago and taking them to the playoffs. And remember, the Hart Trophy is a regular season award, not a playoff award. So, yes, I think that I think there's a little bit of McDavid fatigue right now. Like, yes, he's the greatest player in the world, but the only person I could see winning it over Celebrini right now is Nathan McKinnon.
Okay, but here's my point here before Matt gets to retort to that. Let's say that San Jose gets into the playoffs, and that's my angle on this at plus 320. Because if you look on a certain site that doesn't pay our bills, so we won't say their name, because just reach out, MikeAranaShow@gmail.com. If you look at a certain site right now, last I looked, McKinnon was a minus 250, rightfully so. Macklin Celebrini was a plus 320. I think rightfully so. So, Mac, if the Sharks make the playoffs, even if they're the sacrificial shark for the Avalanche, if you will, does Macklin Celebrini deserve the Hart Trophy for just getting this team there?
I mean, he might, but I don't think it'll happen. I mean, it's a good story, but I just don't think that's how the NHL does a great job with their awards. I just don't think that making the playoffs would be enough.
Okay, I think that's fair. Plus 320, I may or may not have already bet it. All right, plenty of stuff going on in the
He did.
sports world right now. Go ahead.
I was just saying you did. We know you did. It's all good.
Of course I did. If that team, which was a rolling dumpster fire downhill in the rain, makes it to the playoffs, the only reason they did is because some guy had 120 points and the next closest guy had 60. And I'm not throwing shade on Will Smith. Like, Celebrini Smith, the future is literally teal for the Sharks. I thought it was an interesting thing. You know what else I think is interesting, guys? The NCAA tournament. And we're going to start, and we're not going to be that dorky show that talks about brackets, even though we do have a bracket contest with a swag bag out there for you. It wasn't the original swag bag. We'll get into that tomorrow, I'm sure. But we have a swag bag out there. Just go on ESPN's Tournament Challenge, type in Mike Arana Show. You'll find us. There's no password. Jump in. Have some fun with us. TJ loves brackets. There is not a person I've ever met in life more that loves brackets than TJ. But we're not going to sit here and break down every damn game for you because there's no reason to. We're going to start tonight with the South Regional. Actually, we're going to start with the East Regional and then the South Regional. And we're just going to give you a couple of things here. So there's plenty of stuff going on. The East Regional, that'll roll through Washington, D.C., the Capital One Arena. Shout out to the people in D.C. They finally get to see good basketball there for the first time in a while. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the East region here. And we're going to give you some of our favorite first-round games, some of the second-round games we want to see, who we think our regional finals are, maybe a couple of good bets that we have. I'm going to get us started here with my favorite first-round game in the East Regional. And, you know, cat's out of the bag. This is why you got to sign up for the newsletter. But I'm going to tell you guys right now. And one of you coached with me, one of you coached against me. Brian Hogston, the head coach of South Florida, he's a dog. And his team, they're dogs. And they play with the intensity level that he plays with. And some people are going to watch tonight and they're going to go, oh, you're saying everything everybody else is saying. No, I actually watched this team play a lot this year because I'm a psychopath and I watch way more college basketball that's healthy. My favorite first round matchup in this region is Louisville against South Florida. And this Louisville team, and Mac, you and I watched them together, so I'm going to go to you next here. This South Florida team, man, they are so, for lack of a better term, they are so up your ass, they can tell you what you had for breakfast on Monday. And their coach is that intense in Brian Hogston. If you guys have seen it already this week, I know you two have. But for those of you watching right now, he's the guy that said, go ahead and try and come after one of my players and watch what happens to you. His team plays with that kind of dog mentality. And for a Louisville team that has been up and down, questionable, a pain in my ass all year, Michael Brown's health is a big factor here. My favorite first-round matchup is South Florida and Louisville because I think South Florida is going to punch them right in the chops, right out of the gates, and I love it. Matt, give me your first-round matchup in the East Regional that you love.
I'm going with the good old 8-9 game. I'm going with Ohio State and TCU. I mean, how can you not love the 8-9 game, right? You look at these two teams.
Switzerland.
Yeah, I know. Ohio State, good offensive team. TCU, a good defensive team. I think this is it's an interesting matchup from two conferences that we've talked a lot about, and so I think when we look at the matchup, that's one of the things I look at these two conferences. Who's going to get kind of an upper hand with one of these early wins. I like TCU in this game.
Interesting. TCU is a team that a lot of people are. I think honestly, ironically, Switzerland's split. I think there's a lot of people that love TCU in the spot and hate TCU in the spot. So I get it. T, why don't you give me your first round matchup in the East Regional that has your attention?
Well, it's St. John's in Northern Iowa. I think I asked you guys the other day, I said, am I misremembering, or did St. John's not make it past the first weekend last year? And I believe the response was they did not. And this is a team that was hyped last year as this great juggernaut. And I think this year it's going to be one of those things where, was it last year because they were back in the national spotlight and the lights were shining and they just had to live up to the moment and they couldn't do it. So now with that experience, they may be able to do something. But this Northern Iowa team, man, is fifth in defensive rating. They give up 61 points per game. So if this team can play solid defense and they can get a couple of lucky bounces, they can make life very difficult for St. John's.
That's a lot of points for St. John's, 61.
Well, it's funny, but it's also not funny. I get what you're saying there, and it's true. Like this Northern Iowa team, when they went into their conference tournament, and you looked at the metrics, and we talk about analytics and all that stuff all the time, and what analytics actually matter and what don't. Northern Iowa went into their conference tournament record-wise ninth. And don't quote me on the exact spot, but they went in ninth. And if you looked at them from a metric standpoint, they were actually the second best team in the conference, and then they went through and won the conference. So I was hoping they got a different matchup than St. John's in the first round. Here's the reality of the thing. St. John's is on fire right now. They're on a roll. But I think, and maybe this is good for the Johnnies and maybe it's bad. The worst possible matchup I think they could have gotten was the one that they got, and I'm fascinated to see that one. Let's project forward a little bit. If you're looking at the second round, and I'm going to start with you, Mac, because this was one I was going to go with for a lot of the same reasons that you said, but I want you to talk about it because I know you know it better than I do from a first-hand sight.
Yeah, I mean, a classic matchup for round two for me would be UCLA and UConn. And you just look back at the history that what these two teams have done, not only as two programs in the NCAA tournament, but when games that they've had a couple of the best, highest scoring back and forth games that we've seen in quite a few years. So I think just for pure nostalgia, if you will, I think this would be a great second round matchup. Plus, I mean, you have two coaches that are the two. I mean, we need two extra cameras for the sidelines and just for their bits that they're going to have. I mean, two of the most fun coaches that you can watch on the sidelines. And like I said, two really good teams. I think this would be an epic matchup.
As long as it's not too late for Mick Cronin's dad there. See, I was going to go second, but I just saw what you wrote for your two. Go ahead and run with it because I got to follow up to it. So your second round matchup that you want to see.
So for just absolute entertainment factor and pure chaos, give me Northern Iowa and the boys down the street, Cal Baptist. Give me that 12-13 matchup. But what I'm really looking forward to is I want to see Duke TCU. I want to see this Duke team, and I want to see this Duke team start to play teams in the tournament that are going to give them a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I I'm gonna shout out a guy here, Andy Joseph on X. Kansas appears to be playing a school I wasn't aware existed until 20 seconds ago. So naturally, I'm terrified in Cal Baptist in the first round. This Kansas thing, like we've talked about it all year. If all of Kansas's guys are dialed in, they're locked in, and Kansas is playing Kansas basketball, yeah, they're a threat. But it's Kansas, and they could also lose to Cal Baptist, who most Kansas fans don't even know existed. Shout out Cal Baptist. Did you guys see the end of the final WAC tournament before I give you mine? Mac.
I missed it. Mac, did you see it?
Oh, he saw it. Just unmute himself, because I know he.
Yeah, no, I saw it all right. White man can't jump. Jesus, like I needed that win. I needed that win. I had a big old 5-team parlay going. Just dunk the friggin' ball.
You needed the win?
I needed Cal Baptist to lose.
Oh, that's great, because I needed Cal Baptist to win, and they did.
I know you did. I know.
And as soon as the ball was up in the air, I went, is this not appropriate for me leading into March Madness? I'm going to lose on an alley-oop slip screen dunk. My matchup that I want to see, kind of like, but there's an underlining theme to this for me. I want to see St. John's and Kansas in the second round. That's the one I want to see, because Zuby, originally, for the people that don't watch college basketball other than for the first 4 days of March Madness, Zuby Ejiofor originally signed with Kansas. And this St. John's team, and guys, we've talked about this. Mac, you and I specifically have talked about this, like Rick Pitino and rebuilding St. John's, and was the only guy that could rebuild St. John's to Lou Carnesecca days. I want to see St. John's in Kansas, because I want to see Kansas actually show up for a couple rounds of this tournament. Whatever happens after the first weekend, fine. That's when the cream rises to the top, whatever. I want to see Bill Self. I want to see Rick Pitino. I want to see Zuby against where he signed originally, and I want to see that battle. But here's the other flip side to it. I hate the matchup for St. John's, but if you're a St. John's fan, you should love it against Northern Iowa, because the best test they're going to get right away is Northern Iowa. That's a good Northern Iowa team. Kansas, the best test they get is walking off the bus and deciding if they actually want to play or not. But I want to see Bill Self, and I want to see Rick Pitino. I want to see Zuby against where he signed. And that St. John's team is freaking red hot right now. That St. John's team, Mac, and you well know this, has been dominant, especially since UConn beat the living hell out of them about 3.5 weeks ago, and they returned the favor in the Big East Championship. All right, let's go here. Let's look at value in this region. Maybe not to win the region or the national championship or whatever the case may be. I asked you guys to find something that you liked from a betting standpoint. Let's start this. I'll start it while you guys are getting ready. Mac, I'm just now reading what you put down, and I don't hate it, actually. St. John's to make the Final Four is my best value, I think, out of this region at a plus 900. Because, as we were just talking about, the Johnnies are on fire. One loss since January 7th. And the ass-kicking to UConn, they avenged it and kicked UConn's ass in the Big East Championship. I think the best value for me out of that region is St. John's to make the Final Four at a plus 900. T, what do you like value-wise out of that region?
I'm going to wait until you're done drinking that. It's your boy Bill Self in Kansas, because it would be so Kansas-like. They're plus 1,500. It would be so Kansas-like for them to be completely mid for the last 4 to 6 weeks and somehow reel off 4 wins in a row.
You weren't with us the other day, but Matt can attest to this. I have a bet on Kansas to win the national title.
Mm-hmm.
Mac, do you remember why I told you I thought Kansas could win the national title? And I said, don't put a whole lot of money on it, but here's why I think they can. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
That's fine. You and I
Kansas.
talk a lot, and
I know.
You listen to about 33% of what I said, which puts you in the Hall of Fame in baseball. And T, you nailed it. This would be the year that Kansas goes on a freaking run of all runs. Mm-hmm. And I have $5 on it for those of you out there wondering to win the national title. And I did that back in like early January. I don't think they're going to. I wouldn't advise putting very much money on it. But that's Kansas. They're the team in this tournament. That's the literal coin flip. Which Kansas shows up every day? T, you're not wrong. Mac, what's your value in this region? And I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't hate it.
Well, here's the thing. You know, you talk about teams that kind of are like Kansas in there. Teams that could just go on this absolute run and almost win the whole thing. Michigan State. That's what I have. I have Michigan State coming out of this one. Like, that would be a very interesting run if they could do it. I mean, a lot of difficulty scoring the basketball, but I think Michigan State, if you're looking for a quality pick, why not?
Did your son tell you to say that on the show?
No, he would just tell me they suck and they can't score.
Oh, I don't think he's wrong. Give me your regional final matchup, Mac. What do you think it is?
All right, listen, Duke's got some injuries. We know that, so I think they're a little bit vulnerable, especially from if somebody plays good defense. Who plays good defense? St. John's plays good defense, so that's one part. On the other side, if I'm going to have St. John's, I had to go there. Give me part 4. St. John's, UConn, part 4. They've each blown each other out. St. John's, I mean, I think that would be an epic regional final.
A Big East regional final in the East region in Washington. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't hate it. And I get your logic behind it. T, I'll let you go first. East regional. Who's your final?
This hurts me to say. No, it doesn't. It's Duke and Michigan State. It's Captain March, Tom Izzo, and Duke. And it's very hard to count out a Tom Izzo coach team when you get to March because just weird shit happens with the Spartans. So I would go and you get good. You would get good value at it too. So I'm going to take Duke and Michigan State.
I don't hate it. And you know what? Duke is Duke. They're on more than reruns of Leave It to Beaver. I also have Duke in the regional final. And you guys hear it. I don't have a beverage in front of you. Gee, don't have a beverage in front of you. And Kevin Garnett over here takes a drink. My regional final in the East region is UCLA and Duke. Boss baby, bitching about times, bitching about everything. Here's the thing, guys. You remember the whole, like, grabbing the jersey and walking the guy off the floor? And I apologize, I don't remember the guy's name right now. That whole thing, this UCLA team, since that moment, has looked really, really good. In fact, one of our FOPs, Billy V, owes me a 12-pack because I told him UCLA was going to beat, Junior McKenzie in the house, was going to beat Michigan State in the Big Ten tournament the other day. I think it's UCLA and Duke, and then, guys, I'll follow this with my regional champion. Like, I know there's injuries. I know it's like it's March Madness, and everybody goes, "Well, Duke. Duke is Duke."
Mm-hmm.
And they are on more than reruns of Leave It to Beaver. Shout out Pete Gillum. This Duke team is that damn good, and they're only going to get healthier
Mm-hmm.
as the tournament goes. And when your coach has got a finger sling, that's the mentality of this team right now. So Duke, for me, wins the East region. I know, going out on a limb there, but I think it's Duke and UCLA for me. What is the final? Who wins the region? Let's see here. I'm going to put Mac on the spot here. Who wins the East region, Mac? In Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena.
Well, if I said, like I said, if it's, The Godfather Part 4, UConn and St. John's, a bloodbath, that it would be, I'd be remiss if I didn't think the Huskies would pull this one out. So I have UConn winning that region.
Hey, you can follow him after his homer pick.
I was letting it marinate for a while so I can try and digest it. And
I don't hate it though. As much as we busted shots about it, I don't hate it.
I'm going with Sparty. I'm going with Michigan State. Yep, exactly. I'm going with Michigan State.
All right. I was not prepared for that one, actually. I don't even know how to go. So let's just move to the South Regional final at the Toyota Center, Houston, Texas. Here we go. First round matchups that you love. Let's start TJ here.
Well, now it's my turn to make a homer pick. I'm going Nebraska and Troy, and the reason why I'm going with this game, we know that Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament game, but they started with 20 straight, and then they've been kind of meh since then. I want to see what Nebraska team shows up here. Is it the team that we saw the first 3.5 months of the season, or is it the one we saw the last month of the season? Because if it's the latter and not the former, this may be a one and done season for Nebraska in the tournament.
I just scrolled to the bottom of our rundown here. I'm a little pissed off at one of the two of you right now. Mac, go ahead. What's the first round matchup in this region that you want to see?
The one I really like is St. Mary's and Texas A&M. I want to see how Texas A&M handles the St. Mary's defense. That's what I'm going to be looking for. St. Mary's, any of these teams that play in these, lesser conferences, if you will, they don't get it is. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, especially, they're out here, they're out on the West Coast, but a lot of, that East Coast bias, they don't get to see them. And so it'll be interesting to see, again, I have St. Mary's winning this game. I just think their defense is going to be good enough to stop A&M.
I think that game is absolutely fantastic when you look at it from, and there's a couple different ways to look at this. And again, the people that are like, well, I don't like to watch college basketball. Yeah, that whole thing. I think like the St. Mary's, and we'll get to St. Mary's in a little more detail here, but St. Mary's and Texas A&M, and if we were to split the screen like T and me and then Mac, like from our coaching battles back in the day, the St. Mary's Texas A&M is like Texas A&M 2/3. The St. Mary's side of thing is on Mac's third. So, you guys know what I think of Randy Bennett and what he's done up there. The matchup that I can't wait to see in the first round, because I think I've pegged this perfectly, which means totally fade me on this pick, but I think VCU is going to absolutely shithouse North Carolina. They're aggressive. And again, I love this North Carolina team, but without Caleb Wilson, they're not the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not saying anything groundbreaking here. But this VCU team, like, Carolina doesn't have the horsepower to run with VCU if VCU gets into their rhythm and their tempo game and everything else. I think the tempo is going to destroy the heels, shorthanded heels, and again, it's not fair to, like, I'm not trying to pile on the heels here, but Caleb Wilson makes the heels a threat to win the national title. Caleb Wilson in his Jumpman Baby Blues. Carolina's a one and done, and VCU is the team to do that to them. So that's the one I want to see. And for personal reasons, it's the one I hope I'm right on because I'm heavy on VCU there. Let's go second round matchup because, Mac, I'm going to start with you here because you kind of leaned into my hand a little bit with what you said earlier, but I think it'll carry the conversation for us. So Mac, then T, then me on best second round matchup.
The second round matchup I want to see is Vandy and Nebraska. And for a couple of reasons. My first thing is this. These are two teams that, as I've watched them this year, I've liked at different times of the year. I've really liked both of these teams and thought they could be, contenders to get to a Final Four. But I think this game is going to come down to how good defensively Vandy's going to be against this Nebraska offense. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Hey, what do you got? Second round matchup you want to see?
Houston and A&M. I think this would be a fantastic matchup. Vandy, Nebraska was my second choice. But this Houston team, I can't help but think that this team, with all of the near misses in the previous years, that like this seems like it's the year that they need to either put up or shut up here. So, and Texas A&M isn't going to be any pushover for them either. I love the in-state rivalry aspect of this and the fact that the winner, if Houston wins, they're basically playing pseudo home games in the regional.
All right. For me, second round matchup, and I'm going to tell you, like, it's not going to be one that your eyes are going to love. People are going to go, oh, it's a shitty basketball game. But here's the coaching nerd in me coming out. Randy Bennett, Kelvin Sampson. It's not going to be aesthetically pleasing. It's not going to be a great basketball game for... And it's weird. Like, guys, you guys know me. Like, on the way out of my mouth, I caught myself there. Like, it's not an offensive basketball game. It's really not. And I will say this about this Houston team. We've talked about it a lot this year. They're way better offensively this year than they were last year. But they're nowhere near as good defensively this year as they were last year. And while St. Mary's defensively is and offensively doesn't match up metrically, this is the game I want to see from the coaching nerd side. I want to see Bennett and Sampson. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, it could be 49-48 could be this game, but it's the nerd in me from a coaching standpoint. That's the one I want to see. Value-wise in this region, guys, whether it's national champion, to win the region, to make the Sweet 16, whatever you want to call it out at. Let's go with TJ. What do you got value-wise? Whether it's to win the region, Sweet 16, win the whole thing, what do you got?
The one I like to make the Final Four, I've been high on them all year, is Vanderbilt. I think this is a really good basketball team that the 5 seed, I think, is going to be a tough one for them. But I think it can work out. This is a Vanderbilt team that's been really, really good in an SEC where Florida has pretty much run the table here. So I'm looking at Vanderbilt.
Mac, what do you got? Best value in this region?
I have a lot of merch, but I don't have any merch of this team, and I'm not sure why, because I talk about them all through football season, and now I'm going to talk about them through basketball season, and that's Nebraska. It's one of those things. I look at this region and I go,
TJ send you the merch?
I don't know. Gosh darn it. I look at this team and there's a part of me that says, I think they can win this region. I really truly do. It comes down again, questions about a little bit about their offense, but they're such a good defensive team. And we know when you get into the tournament, if you can play defense, it can hide some of your weaknesses, especially from an offensive standpoint. I just look at them and I think, this is a team that if things go right, you get an upset or two. I think they could win the region.
Mac, have you seen Die Hard 2?
Listen, I barely watched Die Hard 1, like maybe a year ago. So no, I haven't watched Die Hard. I didn't even know there was a Die. How can it? No, no. Is Bruce Willis in it?
Oh, the iconic scene is when he falls out of the plane when he's strapped into the seat. It's great.
You know what? That I'm gonna shout out Tony Reale. I'm muting you for a second. T, you remember the part where Bruce Willis, John McClane, that Mac doesn't even know. Remember when he says, "I'm pissing in your pool and I'm fresh out of chlorine"? You remember that whole thing?
Yep.
My best value in this region, and I'm pissing in your pool, Mackenzie, is Illinois at plus 2,200 to win the national championship. And I will say this right now. If Illinois, from their early-ish exit in the Big Ten tournament, learns something, the difference between them winning a national title and being a Sweet 16 or maybe a second day of the opening weekend exit, if this team learns how to finish, I think this team at plus 2,200 might be one of the better values in the entire tournament right now.
Yeah.
The only thing Illinois hasn't done this year is finish in games. We've seen it so many times. They've played all the good team stuff. They haven't finished. I think there's hella value there if they can finish. So let's get to the regional final matchups. We'll go T-Mac then me here. T, in the South region, who is your regional final?
It's all chalk. Florida, Houston. It'll be a battle for the ages. I can't wait.
A rematch from last year's national title tilt. Mac, what do you got? South region, who's in the finals?
I have the battle of the ages. That's Florida and Illinois.
And everybody watching right now just expects me to say Florida and Houston or Florida and Illinois. Right?
Not a chance.
No.
Not a chance.
I'm going to tell you your regional final in the South region is Vanderbilt and Illinois.
Ooh.
And here's why.
Okay.
Vanderbilt has played Florida tough over the last handful of years. Shout out Mark Byington. A lot. We just saw Vanderbilt beat the shit out of Florida, whether Florida cared or not in the SEC quarterfinals or whatever that, quarterfinals. This Vanderbilt team, and T, I'm not saying anything new to you here. This Vanderbilt team is very damn good. And Florida is the one team that they match up really well against. And we know this. And while Florida is Florida's last team to go back-to-back, if I'm remembering right, there was UConn, Florida, UCLA. Don't quote me on the third leg of that. It's really hard to go back. And what was the one thing I told you guys at the beginning of the year that concerned me about the Florida team? Their bigs, as best as you can get in the country, and all three of them can do a lot of things differently than the rest of them. I'm not 100% sold on Florida's guard play. And this is when guard play and making free throws and all that fun stuff happens. So as much as I would go chomp, chomp, back-to-back national champs, I think if we're talking about it from a value standpoint, I think Illinois is the one team in that region that can clip Florida. Houston won't. Houston can't score if Florida's bringing it defensively. But I think your regional final there is Vandy, who knocks off Florida, and Illinois maybe goes to the Final Four. We'll get to those tomorrow. No reaction out of either one of you.
I think you have assumed.
Mac, unmute your mic because I know you got something to say.
I think you.
I do. Sorry. Excuse me. I was choking. I think you're wrong, and I think you're Homer wrong. I think you're
Homer wrong.
You're Homer wrong. You're using my philosophy, and you can't do that. You're not picking Florida because you really want Florida to win, and you figure if you don't pick them, then they're going to win. Have you not watched this Florida Gators team play over the last month? They listen. They went no. My
Did
turn.
you just ask me that?
I'm muting your mic right now. Here we go.
You can't.
Listen, I know.
I'll do it for you. Here.
There you go. This is a Florida Gators team that went from being maybe a third seed to there was talk that they could be maybe the number one overall seed for the whole darn thing. They're playing that good. They have good guard play. Like you said, their bigs are great. And we know what they can do come tournament time. Yeah, they didn't have a great conference tournament. That's okay. You don't need a good conference tournament to win the NCAA tournament. This is a team, like you said, I think you're selling them short. I really do. I think this is a team that can win the whole thing again because they've proven over the last month and a half that they are one of the best teams in the country, and there's only a handful of those.
Mac, I 100% agree with you. I have Florida winning the region as well, just for that reason. I think they're going to put it all together and pull this off. I mean, Vanderbilt is a great team. I agree, but I think Florida has that X factor this year. I think they're going to get it done.
We know it's extremely difficult. What did he just? He didn't want to hear my retort. He just excused himself from the conversation.
Mac drop.
Listen, I'm not gonna shy away from it, or say I don't have it. Yeah, Vegas Mac has entered the studio. I'm not going to shy away from it. Do I have money on the Gators to win the national title? Of course I do. Mm-hmm. But I also know this, and here's the difference between this Florida team trying to go back to back and the last Florida team that went back to back is Xavier Lee has been fantastic for the Gators. Mm-hmm. Ruben Chinelu not only should be playing defensive end for John Sumrall on the football team, should be, if not first, second for the defensive player of the year in college football. I have a bet on the Gators to win the national title. Of course I do. It's really hard to go back to back. And I will say this. I think the only team that could beat them in the region if they get to the regional final is Illinois. The one team that can clip them before that absolutely is Vanderbilt because of the way Vanderbilt plays. Now that you're back in the conversation, Mac.
Yes. I mean, listen.
You think I'm pulling a reverse psychology thing?
I think a little bit. I really do. Listen, here's the thing. I really like Illinois in this region as well. I'm having a hard time with it because I think all the things that you said about them are true. It's like they've had near miss after near miss after near miss, and I think when you have a team like that, at some point it all clicks, and when it all clicks, this could be a very impressive run for Illinois.
All right, we're going to finish this up here because we could go for hours on this. We got the other side of the bracket to go tomorrow. T, do you have a liquid lock? This was not planned. I'm just going to ask you. If you're thinking about it, think about it. One thing that we haven't talked about yet, and I'll throw this out, because if you're on our newsletter, bikearenashow.com/links, we've already talked about this region. At plus 1200, I love South Florida to go to the Sweet 16, and I have bet it myself. So if I was going to give you one bet that I feel most confident about, if you will, South Florida go to the Sweet 16, that's the liquid lock I'll drop out. I know Max got a couple of Ticket Tuesday things here for us. Mm-hmm. T, if you don't have a liquid lock, you don't have to throw one out, but hey, why not?
Here's my liquid lock. Here's my liquid lock. You ready?
Florida's going to win the national title. Just screw you, Mike.
Because Captain Major Conference over here doesn't think that the mid-majors are worth a crap.
Which side of the screen are you talking about here?
This guy right here in KG Green. I'm going to parlay Northern Iowa with the points and Utah State straight up. And I'll see you at the window.
The mountain will make you broke or it'll make you rich, baby. I'll give you this before Matt gets into his, and this was in the newsletter. Again, I'll give you this tonight here. From this point forward, you guys got to sign up for the newsletter. But everybody likes money line dogs. That's what we do. T, you mentioned it the other day. My story of the Moorhead State ticket that somebody made a lot of money on. As far as it goes, and we'll get into this a little bit more tomorrow night. South Florida, VCU, Santa Clara, all money lines together. Where I got it at was a plus 14-16. You want to make some money because you watch March Madness for the upsets, there you go. Mac, take us through Ticket Tuesday. I have one more question for you guys. And then we got to go because we got to do this again tomorrow night. Well, two of us have to. T's going to trains, planes, and automobiles us.
Let's start in the NBA. And if you haven't been following, we know the place to go. That is Memphis. Memphis is our NBA hotspot. Just $7. Listen to some good teams. We can get Denver at Memphis. You can see the Joker for $7. That, my friend, is not a bad deal. But I got a couple other ones. Portland at Indiana, $8. Cleveland at Milwaukee, $9. That's not too bad. T, want to take a guess? Most expensive ticket coming up in the NBA in the next couple of days.
I'm going to say it's a Laker ticket.
It is, but it's not in LA. It's the Lakers at Orlando, $228. There you go for that. NHL
28?
Yeah.
Do you get into the Epcot Food Garden with that?
I probably it might come with a dog. Who knows? NHL Lucky 13. That's the best we can do. We got a couple of games we could get you in for $13. Philadelphia at LA. I don't know if you really want to go to that one. How about Tampa Bay at Calgary? $13. Yeah, probably not. Our big ticket item in the NHL, the Islanders at Montreal. I don't know why you'd want to go there, but that one is about $200 if you want to go to Montreal.
You know, I never stop you on Ticket Tuesday, but is it not like full-blown larceny to be charging anybody 13 American or Canadian dollars to get into the Saddle Dome right now?
I think so. It probably is. But, I mean, it is Tampa Bay. So, I mean, if you want to watch a good hockey team, at least you could watch Tampa Bay.
It's the Saddle Dome. Keep going, though.
All right.
I just wanted to clarify. We
have opening day coming up. Not a lot of great deals. But, listen, how about opening weekend? We go, let's do this. Opening day. The best I could do on opening day, $20. You ready for this one? Colorado at Miami. That's the best I could do for opening day. But opening weekend, again, lucky number 13. How about going to the over? How about the friendly confines? Washington at Chicago. A little bit cold, might not be great, but that's not so bad. I got a couple of other things I'm going to throw at you. This weekend,
Watch out,
um,
T. Duck.
yep, the best regional final, the one in OKC, $16. That gets you in there. And a pretty good college baseball matchup. Texas at Auburn, $25 general admission. And T, I threw those in for you because I know he's coming to Vegas, and I know he's coming to Phoenix. You can go see Bruno Mars for $210.
T, would you rather pay? Let's say I got a homie hookup, T. I can get you in to see. Where's Bruno Mars playing, Mac? You didn't say that.
Phoenix,
Playing at the
Phoenix,
park.
and Las
At the
Vegas.
Dolby. He's playing at the Dolby.
T, have you been to the Saddle Dome? I don't know if we've ever talked about this.
Never been to the Saddle Dome, but desire to go there after and then a shift at Cowboys.
It's fair. It's fair. T, do you have any final words tonight?
Just want to give credit to my first star tonight, Le Premier Étoile, numero 13, Cole Caulfield, 40th goal tonight, OTGWG against the Bruins.
Nice.
Whatever the hell he just said. Mac, any final words from you?
Yeah, the United States can't get any hits. We.
Don't spoil it for anybody. Wait, hold on.
That's how many
The
hits
guy
they got.
that wasn't as into this, never mind, we won't spoil it for anybody.
We. That's how many hits they have. We.
Hey, tomorrow night we're going to go through the rest of the regions, give you our Final Four predictions, some more value bets, and I am telling you right now, I've got a couple of good ones for you. T will be on. T's going to be on a train somewhere. Now, he has said that he will maybe make an appearance. We don't know if like the train thing's going to work out. We're going to try. Other than that, you got to look at me and Mac tomorrow night. But hey, sign up for our newsletter. Bracket contest is going. T, do you want to tell anybody your feelings on brackets? I think might be the best thing. And I hear one of our super fans in the background is she. As soon as I brought up brackets, she started going crazy. Here's the thing, and I will say this, and T, you're going to understand where this story came from. Listen, your brackets are cool. It's cool to be in the bracket contest, but don't ever walk up next to somebody that's betting money on games and tell them that you went 14-2 on day one of your bracket contest, because nobody gives a shit. And here's the thing, and this is where we'll finish, guys, and I will go around the table with this. Selection Sunday has always been one of the things, and shout out to our guy, Jared Smith, because he talked about this as well, and it really echoed with me. When the brackets come out, like, I love it. It's fun for me. I remember, and shout out to my old cul-de-sac neighbor in Northern California that got me to fall in love with college basketball. Brackets are fun. I do a bracket. We do a bracket contest. Everybody loves brackets. But don't ever walk up next to somebody who is betting money on game by game in the NCAA tournament and brag about your 14-2 straight up bracket. Because, not that I condone this, but sometimes it's appropriate. You might get punched in the teeth. T, I know the best guy to say this for our group is you. How would you advise people to handle brackets? Because if you jump in our bracket contest, you can literally see what TJ's bracket name is, and you'll love it. T, tell the people how to handle their brackets, because we're getting close to tip-off time.
Brackets suck. Do 6.
I'll take another. Mac, what's your feeling on brackets?
I think they're fun. I do. I think, but I said it the other day. I think you have to do a bracket where you really kind of get the nuts and bolts of it, and like a serious bracket. And I think it's also fun to have one that is just kind of fun, like an upset. Like, you look at this and you go, okay, who do I really like? Siena is not going to beat Duke. I mean, you're not going to go there. But look at, like you said, like T said, Cal Baptist over Kansas. Like we all know that's probably going to happen. I mean, I think it's fun to have a little fun with the brackets as well. Don't be so serious with it. Have some fun. We.
TJ, anything else there?
Nope.
TJ is Mr. Anti-Bracket. For everybody behind the scenes, for these two jokers.
Hey, listen, I heard they're going to have a bracket for next year's college football to get in. How about that?
Yeah,
Because I know how much. Two of the things you hate.
Who hates?
T hates the college football playoffs and brackets.
I gotta go.
T's gotta go. We gotta go. For everybody behind the scenes, Mac, TJ, we'll be back tomorrow night. Fill out your brackets. TJ says, "Don't fill out your brackets." You know the drill by now. We're out. Now we're out.